Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tales from the Fog. I am your host, Casey, and with me, as always, is the amazing and wonderful Veronica. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Oh man, there's just so much to talk about. Where do you want to start?
I don't even know. I guess we can go chronologically. So our last podcast we recorded before Midsummer happened.
No, before Scare LA happened.
Was it? No, we were talking about Midsummer because we were like, oh, Midsummer's going to be great, and we had no idea.
It was before Midsummer,
right.
Man.
So it's been a cool minute, and we were like projecting like it's going to be amazing and blah, 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 basically just going on what we knew last year. So now this is the genuine look back on all of the things that have happened that weekend and since then, and it really was as awesome as we thought it would be. It was expansive, it was packed. There were tons of vendors. There was the Hall of Shadows was amazing. I don't even know where to start when it comes to Midsummer, let alone like the whole expanse of the last 3 weeks. But so then 5 days later, we begin Scare LA.
Yes, Scare LA. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Well, I don't have a lot of con experience, so I really only have, Midsummer and Scare LA are pretty much my only thing. I've never been to Comic-Con, Dragon Con, anything like that. I think I may have gone to another con at some point. That's about it. So, from what, so I hate to compare because I really don't want to. I don't think that they are trying to accomplish the same goals, but I feel like Midsummer was a very family, community type of everyone's playing along, you're playing with everybody, and not very competitive, but very giving. Like, I felt every booth was just giving. And as a performer, and as a guest, I suppose, I just didn't get that vibe from Scare LA. I know that other people definitely feel differently. I've read plenty of, Facebook reviews of people who had a ball at Scare LA and really felt like they were with their family and that same kind of thing. So, I know it's just, a tiny window into what it was. But I feel like it was a little bit more competitive. And I do remember that about Scare LA in prior years. We, as the Decay Brigade, we kind of had to fight a little bit. Like, they would be upset about the volume of our music. They'd be upset about the square footage of our runway and how much attention we were grabbing and everything. But when it came to the event, the drama happened even before the event started. So from the get-go, there was a very, kind of scrappy, sort of feisty feeling that I didn't really appreciate, but the end result was spectacular. And I know that the guests, when they were watching their shows, they had a great time. So I know that, the behind-the-scenes stuff, there's always something going on that the audience just doesn't always get to see. And then that's to their benefit. But, it was definitely a different vibe.
Yeah.
From that point. But, we got to hang out with some really cool people. We got to see Ed Alonzo.
Yeah.
And we got to, hear some cool musicians. There was, an aerial hoop artist. There was a lot of stuff going on that really made it pretty cool to get to see, a little bit of the behind the scenes of that stuff. So, how about you?
Yeah, pretty much the same. The vibe of Scare LA just doesn't compare to Midsummer Scream for me. The people there, most of the people that we normally see weren't at Scare LA, so a lot of our old-time haunt friends that usually would go every year weren't there. We saw a couple people. It was cool to get a talk with Ed Alonzo for a little bit. It was fun. There was a couple fun things to do, but overall, the show floor, there wasn't very many special effects or makeup or mask vendors. It was mostly apparel and accessories and things like that, which, you see one booth, you kind of see all the booths. And then, so there wasn't a whole lot to do. And even though the show floor was bigger than last year, it just felt like they had the same or maybe less vendors and spread them out really far. The aisles were gigantic at Scare LA, which in a way was nice because you could walk around and it felt empty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. It just didn't feel like there was enough to do. The the only two standouts were the It float experience, which came from Comic-Con, and then the Annabelle VR experience, both of which were amazing.
All right, so walk us through that.
Well, the It one, it took place in a school bus, and basically they're using it for marketing the It movie. But what happens is you have to sign a waiver because they're videotaping you, because they're going to use it for marketing purposes. And then you go into the school bus, and it's actually broken up into two sections. So you go into the first room in the school bus, and you're kind of in a sewer pipe, and below you, like, there's like a plexiglass you're standing on, and below you there's like stuff floating by, and one of the things floating by is the little boat that the boy puts in a gutter in the movie. And so you're just kind of sitting there, and there's a lot of sound effects, and there's some air cannons and things that, you know, try to scare you. Mm-hmm. But basically it's just a holding area to get you in a spot to wait for the next VR section.
So when you go in, is it like screens that go around you, and it's a screen underneath with the boat, or is it
No,
like
it's all real. So the whole thing is like a sewer pipe, so it's all round.
Yeah.
And then below you, you're like standing on plexiglass, and below that it's basically like a conveyor belt.
Okay.
That's just like stuff's floating under your feet.
And that's how you see the boat.
Yeah.
Floaty thing go. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then you go into the next room, and I thought it would look like a school bus, but it doesn't. It was kind of like 9 computer chairs that you can swivel around in. But it's designed that way because it's a 360 experience. So you have to be able to turn around in circles and not get tied up in the cords and stuff. And then in the seat, they actually had, like things that vibrated and shook the seat and stuff like that to kind of add to the experience. And it was pretty fun. Like the video, I don't want to give too much away because they're still touring it. So if you have a chance to see it, it's worth it. It's fun. But it wasn't as good as the Annabelle experience. So the It experience uses the real Oculus Rift. So the video quality was really, really good. The Annabelle experience uses the Gear VR, so it uses the Samsung Galaxy phone. Mm-hmm. So the video quality wasn't as good, but the overall theatrical story and everything was way better. So the way that the Annabelle experience worked is you had to sign a waiver because they're marketing. And then you're given the headset and a pair of headphones, and then you have to knock on Annabelle's door. And basically they're going to, not Annabelle, Annabelle's the doll, I think, but Bella's room or something, the little girl's room. So you knock on the door, and someone comes out and kind of gives you a theatrical story of kind of what's going on with the room. And then you're led in, and inside this little girl's room, in the center is a little tea party, and they make everybody sit down at the seats around the tea party. And then that's when you put, there's a whole nother thing that goes on, and then you're told to like hurry up and put on your VR goggles. So you throw on your VR goggles and your headphones, and then the VR portion starts. And it starts with you sitting at a table in the position that you're in, which is really cool. So you're at the table, and then the table sort of starts floating around the room. So you're going around the room, and there's like stuff going, and like the little Annabelle dolls jumping out and scaring the crap out of you. And like all this weird stuff's happening to the room around you. And then, so all this fun stuff happens, and then you're told to take off the headphones and the VR goggles and put them on the tea party, like you have plates, so they like put them on the plate. So you take them off, and then there's a whole nother theatrical thing that happens inside the room with animatronics and kind of cool little scare gags. And then at the very height of it all, in the middle of the tea party table that you're sitting on, the Annabelle girl comes busting out of the center of the tea party table and just scares the crap out of everybody.
Wow.
And so it's way more theatrical, way more fun. And I was talking to the lady that was running the front door, and while the It thing was made by a big company, the Annabelle experience was made by a husband and wife team in their garage for Warner Brothers. So it was just kind of like, they just kind of made it. I don't know what the background is for them, like what got them the gig to build this as a marketing tool. But I thought it was really cool because it's something that was made. It's almost like a home hunter made this really awesome VR experience.
That's incredible. Do you know who it was?
No, I have no idea because her husband wasn't there, and I wanted to get an interview with him, but he wasn't there on Sunday. He was only there on Saturday, and so I didn't get a chance because with these VR experiences, the lines got 2-3 hours during the day. So I would go like 5 minutes before the doors open to the general public, and I would get in line, so I'd be the very first person in line. So on Saturday, I did the It experience, and then Sunday, right when the doors opened, I did the Annabelle experience.
Perks of being an exhibitor.
Yeah, and it was funny, too, because word got out, because Sunday, there was only 5 of us in line. It was me, one other vendor, and then 3 people from the press to do the It thing on Saturday. Sunday morning, by the time the doors opened, the queue line was full for the It experience, and there was about 20 people in line for the Annabelle experience.
Nice.
So before the doors even opened, there was like a pretty good queue for both of those attractions.
Good for them. They deserve it. Well, I think that we should find out who did that, did the Annabelle thing, and possibly have them on the podcast, or at least be able to talk a little bit more about them, because that's no rinky-dink thing. That's a really big production that they were able to put together, and obviously made a great impact. And that's good that it was multimedia, that it didn't only depend on VR, but it had, practical scares and animatronics and actor-driven. Like, it's got everything.
Yeah, that's what I really liked about it. That's what it took it above It for me. So even though It had the better video quality and the better seats with the kind of like the 4D experience, like the Annabelle thing just blew it out of the water from the sheer theatricality.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then the Cape Brigade shows at Scarelay went okay, I would say.
They went pretty good. So we had already had a weekend of, basically practice. We got to do the full production 2 days in a row. Some records were broken, and we were all, by the time we got to that last show on Sunday, like, we were solid. Like, we had a show. Because some of it, like, behind the scenes little info, these shows, a lot of effort goes in a very small amount of time. So we didn't actually have a lot of time to put everything together 100%. So pretty much like show 2 on day 1 is like almost the very first time everything has come together. So by the time Sunday came around, we had some practice. And then we got to Scarelay. The layout was a little different, but we were able to take, okay, we know what we're doing now. We know where everything goes. We've got our pipe and drape. We've got all of our props. Got our makeup artist area and everything. So going into Scarelay was a little bit easier. There was a lot more red tape because of the whole union thing and other multiple hoops that we had to jump through. But, again, that's production. That's just something that you have to deal with sometimes. But, yeah, I think that the audience had a good time. The lighting wasn't as complex as it was in Midsummer because we didn't have the lighting tree and everything. But, and for what you were able to put together was incredible.
Yeah. The lighting, I don't think it was as good as Midsummer, but...
But for photography purposes, like, it was easier to see the stunts at Scarelay for the same reason that it was last year, because it wasn't so heavily theatrically lit, but being a performer and being there live, like, Midsummer definitely had that edge where it was way cooler, and he did get some good photography out of it as well. But I feel like from Scarelay was the same kind of thing as last year. We were able to get a lot more clear shots of, the stunts, and then, like, being able to get some depth because you've got more light going on. It was just, each one has its own reward for the situation. It was unfortunate that the plug was right where people can step.
So yeah, that was horribly set up as far as the lighting and sound rig. So they put it in the middle of where everybody stands. And so, of course, during the middle of the show, people were trying to move around to get a better view because everybody knows how many people show up for a Decay Brigade show. They're trying to cut in between speakers and stuff, and they're knocking plugs out and turning the lighting off and the sound off. And it was just poorly designed from that standpoint.
Was that on Saturday or Sunday?
That was on Sunday.
Yeah, so during show 1, our whole thing's going, we've got this big old epic, it's basically like the introduction of all of the characters, and then the music cuts out, and we're like, what? And like, that had never happened to us before. But because of the way the setup was, it didn't cut out the iPod. Like, it didn't tell the iPod, hey, stop playing. your output's not working anymore.
Yeah.
It kept going, so it was a pain in the butt to try to find where we were in the music to go again. So that was a little bit of a hiccup, but again, that's production. It sucks that it happened, and I'm sure that person is very
light
embarrassed.
towers go out a few times.
Yeah, but the stuff that we brought in worked swimmingly. At least from our perspective. I thought I broke the bed because I was jumping on it, and then the lights started to like strobe, and I was like, oh my god, I'm plugging it and unplugging it, and like I thought I ruined it. But it was actually Casey being all artsy. Good job, Casey. It looked really cool in the video.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it for Scare LA. I mean, there's not... as far as stuff that was announced, only Universal was there, and they announced... the Titans of Terror tram and Haunted House. So it's just Freddy, Jason, and Leatherface coming together to do a maze in the Terror tram.
Fun.
That's pretty much all that they announced. At Midsummer, they announced the scare zones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I don't remember what they are. So go look it up.
So another interesting... It's just a difference, utilizing your space how you do. There was no separate venue or theater or room or anything for the panels to happen.
Yeah, there was.
I thought the thing
was across from the medical station. So you had to go out the little doors. So if you went out towards the front and went to the left, it was on the right side.
What was that pipe and drape sectioned off?
That's the screening room where they were screening all the movies.
Oh! Someone told me that that's where the panels were happening.
No. Well, I think there were some panels that happened there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. I thought that's all they had, and I was kind of concerned. But, good. I'm glad to hear they had an actual space.
Yeah.
Fantastico. It was an interesting walk around that show floor. I didn't get to see my son at all at Midsummer because he was with his dad, but the following weekend he was with us, so I got to bring him on Sunday. And our beautiful makeup artist Sammy who does mine and Chase and Erie, she took time out of her day to do makeup for Xander as well. And we've got pictures posted on all of our Facebooks and stuff, but for a mom, that was just like heart-melting and wonderful. And the week before, he said he wanted a costume, and so we went to Goodwill and dirtied him up a Decade Brigade costume, all black and white, and I got to walk with him on the show floor with him.
Show flow,
faux show. Like a little Decade Brigade monster. And it was just so wonderful that he was a part of it. And he had been part of other haunt things that we've done, like in Huntington Haunt. He was the little boy with the doll. He made it into the newspaper. I mean, the kid is subtly very good at, working the camera, but this time he was a little bit more shy, so if someone tried to get a picture of him, he hid behind me, which I thought was super cute, but the photographer was like, I want to see your face, not your butt, thank you. But other than that, he had fun. He went through there's an inflatable corn maze, and they had, they didn't have like a separate room for the kittens, like the adoptable kittens like at Midsummer, but they had a booth, and then like this oddly arranged like human-sized cage that you can go in and lock yourself in with a cat. And
they charged you $5.
Well, they asked for a donation of $5, and I love kitties, so of course I'm going to donate $5 to them. But it was a little odd because the kittens were obviously stressed out. They had been manhandled all day. Like, at the other one, they didn't seem stressed at all. Like, there were a couple spazzes, but they were playing and they got to run around, see all these people. Like, I didn't get a sense that any of them were like super stressed, but at this booth they were. And like, I don't know, because we got there a little bit later in the day, it was like before the third show, but they were all in cages, like not tiny cages. I mean, they were humane, but they're like, big bird cages, I guess. And then like one would be picked up and then put into the human cage to hang out with the humans there. So like, you can just tell that the cats were just pissed off. But this one, I forget his name. I think it was like Corey or something like that. Xander and I were in there, and I'm just taking pictures and stuff. And the cat, like every time I touched the cat, he was just pissed off. I'm like, well, this isn't going to be a very fun 5 minutes. So I picked up the cat, against his will, and I plopped him in Xander's lap, and the cat instantly turned to jello and just flopped in Xander's lap and like put his chin on Xander's knee, and Xander's eyes got so bright. He's like, oh my gosh, the kitty likes me. I died. It was the cutest thing, and the cat just didn't move. He was like, I'm happy here. This is my happy spot. It was the first time I had seen that cat still since we had gotten in line. We were there for like 20 minutes waiting to get locked into this human cage. So that was really sweet, but it's pretty much the highlight of that whole experience. I worried for those kittens. They didn't seem very thrilled at all. And as far as experiences go on the show floor, that's all that we really did. I mean, we walked around for not very long, maybe a half hour. There weren't a lot of people there. I did hear from people who attended on Saturday that they didn't need to stay the whole time, which, worries me as an event producer. You don't want people to feel like they are done when the show's not done. Yeah. Like, you want people to be like, damn it, I didn't get everything I wanted to see. But people were like, they missed our third show because they had done everything there was to do. Yeah, and by the time shows 1 and 2 were done. We're done. And we're not coming back tomorrow. That was another thing. Like, people who got weekend passes didn't come back on Sunday. And, like, that kind of, that hurt me because I want people to come to our shows and everything. But also, like, a lot of people worked really hard on this event, just like with any other event. And you want people to come and support and be there. And people weren't coming back. So, I don't know what to say about that, but it is what it is, I guess. Yeah. But one thing, I do want to mention this because it was super interesting to me. I'd never done anything like this before. So, in LA, they made August 4th Scare-a-Lay Day. Yeah. So what they did was during a city council meeting, they had Laura, and I think she was the only one that actually spoke, and then one of the representatives from the board, like, they presented her with a cool little framed thing that said, like, Scare-a-Lay Day and everything. But the Decade Brigade was asked to be present, basically as trophies, like, here's what happens here. I feel parade like you guys around a little bit. Yeah, we were very much just like black and white arm candy. But anyway, so we got in, Sammy got there early, did all of our makeup, and we got dressed, and we drove from Scare-a-Lay, from the convention center to, I don't know, Hawthorne? I don't remember where it was. Yeah, wherever the city hall building is. Wherever City Hall was. So we drove on the freeway in full Decade Brigade, like the whole thing, which was fun. And then we showed up at the city council building. You can imagine just any haunt monster with any haunt makeup just walking around the streets. Like, people are not okay with that. And, like, it was obvious that people were like, what on earth are you people doing? Okay, here's a question for you. Okay. How did you get through security? So... Because they have metal detectors and stuff, I assume, right? They do, but there's only a metal... It doesn't block the entire entrance. So, like, I don't know how safe that is, especially to announce, but there's a security guard there. Yeah. And I'm fairly certain he is armed. And, there's a table and everything, and there is a metal detector. But we walked in and we're like, hey, we're here, for the city council meeting. And we held up our hands. And we're like, we will beep furiously if we walk through that thing. And he looks at all of us. He's like, no, you're good. So we waited off to the side, and then our representative came down the elevator and picked us up. And we did not have to walk through the metal detector, thank goodness. But we shared the elevator with other people. And that's fun. It was fun. They played it pretty cool, and the people who were there, it was me, Chase, and Andrew. So Chase and I are very familiar with how to handle people who are not prepared for you. Andrew is just naturally pretty chill. Yeah. So nobody was like scaring strangers or anything like that. It was very cool. So yeah. So that's good. It was a good group to go. But we're sitting there. We have front row seats to this meeting, and in our full garb, and there were a lot of people there. And we were very distracting. We didn't say anything. We didn't interact with anybody. We just sat there looking at how we do. And, the people who are there to, no offense if you're a city council goer, but, pretty much the people who go up to speak just really need to bitch about something. And so they're bitching, but people aren't looking at them. No one's listening to them. Like, the photographers are getting, like, the picture that they need and then taking pictures of us. Like,
Yeah.
everyone was taking pictures of us, you know. So that was a little awkward. So then finally it's our turn. We go up there, you know, and then, like, the whole demeanor of the city council people totally changes. Like, suddenly they're all looking, they're all paying attention. Because, like, they're sitting there like, yeah, okay, listen. Like, they seemed not very engaged. As soon as we got up there, everyone, like, put down their pencils, put down their phones, and was, like, looking, like, what is happening? So they, the gentleman who was up there said some very kind words. He presented the certificate. I think Laura said some stuff. And then the guy was like, wait. The president who was running the whole thing was like, wait, before you go, I need a picture with you guys. And we're expecting him to walk his ass out to us. He's like, no, you come here. And we're like, no one's allowed back there, sir. And like, no, you guys need to come here. And we're like, okay. So we prance all the way around to the back, and we're taking pictures with this guy who is like elated beyond belief. And then more people are still talking and bitching to everybody, and no one's paying attention. So we get all these pictures, and I'm like, I can feel the sense of urgency. Like, we need to go. Like, they need to carry on with this meeting.
Yeah.
But the guy was like, I think you guys are the best. I love your outfit. And he's, like, playing with my hair. I really appreciate this, but we got to go. Like, meet us at the back, and we can talk more. So we like, made it halfway back, and then someone else, one of the other councilmen, like, stood up, was like, I need a picture. My wife is never going to believe this. So we took a picture with him. And then we go back, and, like, on my way back, like, Chase and I both have dreads. And people in the audience are like your dreads. And I'm like, I know where you're at. So we make it to the back, and there's that thing where, like, there's two flags on either side, and then the plaque in the middle that says whatever, city council, blah, blah, blah. So we took a lot of pictures there, which is super fun. And then that was it. Our duties were fulfilled, and we got to leave.
But I also saw that you guys took a picture with LA firefighters.
Okay, so
that's not everything.
So I told you that story to tell you this story. So while we were there on our way back to the car, of course, we run into a bunch of firemen in their fireman outfits. And we, like, the ladies of the parade have, like, this long-running joke about the hotness of firemen. Of course, we run into firemen. I'm like, okay, well, now I have to get a picture because I got to make them jealous. So they're, and of course, they're instantly captivated by all of us. They're like, oh my God, I've never, I've never seen this, because they do see it, but it's usually a person who is drunk or high. Yeah. You know, so they're not used to, like, intentionally, like, dressed people like this. So they thought it was super cool, took pictures with us, and, like, it was pretty magical. I mean, what can I say? And of course we bragged about it. I bragged about it when I got back. So we did run into some firemen. They were super, super chill and really liked what we were into. I don't know if any of them ever made it to the convention, but we invited them and we're like, you have to come see us, because, like, there's all of this and more, you know. But I mean, I don't know if they showed up or not. But yeah, we did get to take some pictures with some adorable firemen. Yeah.
So anyway. I'm going to be going to the fire academy next week, guys.
What? Yeah.
What?
I will support that. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you can do the academy, just don't actually join. Please. I like you. I like you being at home. I mean, if you're a fireman and you're listening to this, hats off to you, because that is a hell of a job. Anyway, I digress.
So let's talk about road trip.
Ooh, that was fun.
Yeah, we went to Texas. And so we road tripped all the way out there. So the first night we spent the night in Tombstone, Arizona, the old West town that's famous for the OK Corral gunfight. And I think Veronica was pretty much passed out. I don't think she stayed up much.
When we stayed at Tombstone?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I was gone.
So you didn't hear all the fun stuff that happened.
What? No?
So she was in the back laying down, passed out.
On top of all of the luggage.
Yeah,
on top of it all flat, and I just made a little nest on top of it.
I was in the front seat, not really sleeping because I can't sleep that good in a car. So I was up a lot. And so at one point in the night, there were wolves or coyotes. I think they were wolves because the sound is a little different. Like, coyotes are more yippy, and these are much more like deep howling. Mm-hmm. All around all around the car. Like,
oh my God.
and they did, some of them sounded pretty close. I don't know how close they were because out there sound travels pretty far, but yeah, like you just hear like from all different directions howling going on. It was pretty cool.
Oh my God.
And then at one point so we were parked on a street that wasn't the main drag, but it was like a little side street, and we were pointing towards, kind of like where the main highway would be, like 2 blocks away. Mm-hmm. And there was like I can't remember what building was right there, but it's like the Old West. They have like little porches and stuff that wrap around the outside. And at one point I totally saw kind of like a shadow go across one of the porches and like across a window. And there's nobody out walking around, so I don't know what the hell that was, but it was pretty cool.
Holy crap.
And then at another point in the night when I was sleeping, I heard footsteps go by the car. And I wasn't sleeping that heavy, so I heard the footsteps and I just kind of like looked around. There was nobody around the car.
Oh, cool.
So that was really fun.
Is Tombstone known for being heavy on the paranormal activity?
Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so that was really cool. But
I wish we could have spent more time there. I mean, I know we were in a hurry, but like so we woke up, I woke up at like 6-ish.
Yeah, like 6.
And then, so no one was there yet. All the shops were still closed. And so we got to walk around a little bit. And like, it was a ghost town. I mean, it was nice and
yeah, we
quiet.
were the only people there besides some construction workers.
Yeah. They were like resurfacing the little walkway or doing something involving tar and rocks.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were the only ones playing tourist. It was pretty fun.
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
was
cool
cool.
shops.
But nothing was open. And even if we were there during the day, most of the stuff was closed because they're like, we're closed on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm. Tuesday and Wednesdays is like their weekend.
Yeah.
And we caught them on Wednesday.
But, it was a quick little side trip off the highway for us. So we're like, let's do it. And then the next day we went to Carlsbad Caverns, which was Veronica's first time. So what did you think about it?
It was, I mean, I don't even have words. That wasn't the next day that we drove from Tombstone to Carlsbad, right?
Yeah, it was the same.
So the same day that we were walking around Tombstone. It was so crazy. Like, the outside is so unassuming. You just drive up and you go into a building and you buy your ticket and you go out the back door and you take a path and then you just walk to another section of path and then there's just this gaping hole. And it's all paved. Like, it's super, user-friendly. But, I mean, it's very unassuming. Like, you don't know what you're getting into when you first start walking down that thing. And I just, was just more and more gobsmacked the further we got into this thing. I mean, it's incredible. It was, that's all I got. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's hard to describe to people I've never been. But, it's kind of like going on the Knott's Mine ride, but walking through the buildings.
And but 20 times the size.
Yeah, so the big room is the size, it's the length of 14 football fields. And the highest point is something like 320 feet or something. So 14 football fields long and almost the height of Supreme Scream in some points.
Wasn't the spinny wheel of death was 302? So it's almost that.
Windseeker.
We call it the spinning wheel of death. But, it's like the Windseeker Tower would fit inside this building. That's how tall it was.
Well, it's not a building. It's a cave.
The cave. It's really hard not to think of it as a building. It was so... I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was just... And it was so intricate, and every little formation had so many details. They had details in the details. And the way that they lit it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I took pictures just with my phone. And yeah, I have a nice camera on my phone. But, the detail that was captured was incredible. And that's thanks to the lighting. Mm-hmm. The formations, are obviously awesome. But it was that lighting, that painting of everything that really made it pop.
The problem with the pictures, though, is you don't get the depth and the grandeur of it all in a picture.
You really don't.
So it's really hard to capture it.
I got some great pictures, and eventually I'll end up putting them on the internet, but like, you can see a lot of detail in each picture, but you really can't compare it to, like, when you look at it, you see behind it and you see around it and you can see, like, the real depth of everything that's there. And we walked under a formation that looked like an inverted koosh ball, but it expanded so much of the ceiling that you couldn't even see all of it with your naked eye.
Yeah.
Like, it went past your peripheral vision. It was just, so cool. And it was nice and not crowded.
Yes.
Going on a Wednesday was like the best day to
so
go.
Definitely go midweek to Carlsbad Caverns if you ever go. They were saying, we waited about 20 minutes to take the elevator up, but the ranger was saying on a weekend it's like 2 hours plus.
Yeah.
So imagine getting all the way to the bottom and having to take the elevator out and you're stuck there for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be okay with that. I'm glad we got to leave quickly. But it was super cool. Like, I know in the past they had a McDonald's there. And now that I've seen it, I could totally see a McDonald's being there. But now it's like a cafeteria style. And then there was another vendor there that had like hard hats and lights and things. And I wasn't quite sure if they were for novelty or if they were actually to go spelunking somewhere.
No, they were just for fun.
Okay. But they were super cute.
Yeah.
So we got out of there super quick, which was great. And then grabbed a snack, bought some souvenirs. And then like the total highlight of the Carlsbad Caverns adventure was we got to sit and watch the bats fly out of the cave.
Yeah, that was super cool.
Yeah. So you walk us through that since you've...
Basically, they have an amphitheater that sits at the opening of Carlsbad Caverns. And they have 2 different kinds of bats. So depending on when you go, they only do the bat flight program in the summer. Earlier on in the summer, there's only one kind of bat there. And then later on in the summer, there's both kind of bats because one of them migrates down to Mexico and then comes back. So we were there right at the height. So both bat species are there. And it kind of starts off really small. Like you just see a couple little bats come out. And then before you know it, it's like a tornado of bats. And you can't even describe like millions of bats, like to the point where at its thickest, it covered the entire hole going down, which was, I don't even know how wide it is.
50 feet, 60 feet.
And so many bats you can't see to the other side. Like it's just solid black mass of like whirling bats.
It was like a grayish, brownish, black tornado.
Yeah.
Just whooshes. And the sound was, it was just the most gentle, like wisping sound of their wings flapping in the air. Mm-hmm. But, multiplied by the tens of thousands as they were coming out of that tunnel and then always, escaping and facing the same direction.
Yeah.
Looking like those odd insect groups where they like, when you see a swarm of insects fly and they kind of like pulsate together and they're far apart and everything. And they were doing that all the way into the horizon. You couldn't even see.
Yeah. And they would go off, like they were kind of going out to the east and you just see these ribbons of bats going as far as you could see them until they disappeared on the horizon. It was a crazy experience.
It was, otherworldly. It was really cool to take a step back and kind of step out of yourself and watch nature do something so badass. And we're thinking like, is there some sort of like bat flight pattern central control that's like, okay, you can go and you can go, you hold there for a second, you can go, you in the back, you're good, you're coming in round 3, you stay there. Like how do they figure out how to get out of this cave? And like, which one of them decided, oh, you know what, this spiral pattern is really great, let's do that instead of trying to fly straight up, and then millions of them.
Yeah, and not running into each other or the walls or people
or anybody. We got super close.
One got crazy close to us, though.
Two of them did. 2 of them got super close. And that's like part of the fun is you never know if one of them is just going to careen away from the group and like almost smack right into you. And he made it sound like it was kind of rare, maybe to make it more fun for the audience when it happened. The way that they did it, it doesn't seem too rare to me. But the first one came in. I think
we were sitting perfect spots. So if you want to get a really good, what seemed like the best spot, because we seemed to be getting the most, was upper half of the amphitheater. And if you're looking at the cave entrance on the right side, so upper half on the right side, seemed to be getting the most close encounters with bats.
Yeah, like the upper third.
Yeah.
We are like at the bottom of the upper third of the amphitheater. and it was perfect. Like, I still think about this, but like, a bat came out, and it's after they had been there for a while. So once the sun really started to set, the bats were a little bit more carefree about what direction they left the cave in.
Yeah.
So generally they went off to, which, like, if the cave was the stage, would be stage left. So they were careening off to stage left in a pretty organized fashion. But once the sun started to set, they started to fly out towards center stage, like towards us. Mm-hmm. And one of them, I mean, many of them came out, but this one in particular was like doing this crazy, weird bebop pattern and flies right out and then flies right towards me and Casey. And then, like, in the matter of like a 16th of a second, opens up its wings to reveal the full bat symbol.
Yeah.
And then up it goes. But, like, all I can remember is seeing this grayish-brown bat symbol, just like the Batman symbol.
Like inches from your face.
Right in front of my face. And then feeling and hearing the whoosh and, like, flip my world upside down. Oh, my God, we were laughing so hard, and we had to be quiet. So I'm, like, holding in these cackles of laughter. People are looking at us funny. I'm like, you don't know how cool that was, man.
Yeah.
So that was bat number 1. And then bat number 2 happened more to you than it happened to me.
Yeah, he came careening. So, like, Veronica was sitting kind of in front of me on the floor, and then I was sitting up on the seat, and it literally flew between the back of her head and the front of my head. So it was like, it came in from the side and just like went right between our two skulls, and it was crazy. You could feel the wind going right past her face.
It sounded like a pod racer when it goes by and goes
yeah.
Like, it sounded like you can hear the wind, every flap. It sounded like doo, doo. And it just it was so loud because it's right by your head. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And we had been used to hearing them from far away, and it sounds so dainty and it's just a little flap. But when it's super close to your head, like, it gets bassy.
And I think, when they change directions so fast, like, it's amazing how fast these things can change.
Incredibly fast.
The path that they're on. It's just like 1 second they're flying one direction, the next second they're going another way. And
as far as we could tell, none of them hit anything else.
No.
They got super close to us. Like, I think one kid was leaving, like, because the sun had been set for a while, but the bats were still flying out of that cave. So one family was on their way out, and this, like, 12 or 13-year-old kid is walking down the aisle to get out, and a bat, like, I don't know if it, like, clipped his ear or did the same thing with us, where it just like went right by him, and the kid just fell straight to the floor. That was pretty funny too.
Yeah.
He's like, "What just happened?"
But definitely, if you ever get a chance to go to Carlsbad Caverns, go in the summer. Check out the bat flight program. Most amazing thing I've ever seen, I think.
It really was incredible. And if you can, take that pathway into the cave instead of the elevator.
Yeah, do the walk-in.
You can't really get the whole scope of it, but you can get a pretty good idea of just how deep and awesome this thing is. And then along the way, you have these plaques that kind of give you, their little information bits. So they tell you how those things were formed and the names of different formations and a little bit about the flora and the fauna down there. I mean, it was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
It took us a while to walk down there, but it's something like at its steepest point is 75 stories underground.
Well, at the bottom of the entrance, it's 75. And then when you get to the big cave where the elevator drops you off, then you actually end up going deeper into the cave. So I think you end up 100 stories total
100
underground.
Stories.
Yeah.
So that's roughly 1,000 feet?
Yeah.
1,000 feet underground where these things are. I mean, mind blown, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was, leaving that place, I was grinning like an idiot. It was just so magnificent.
Yeah.
So awesome.
So then, after that, we went to the Alamo, which, it's the Alamo. There's not a whole lot to do. There's not, you just kind of walk around, read some plaques. It's a cool looking place. Not much has changed since I was a kid.
So you had been there before?
Yeah, I'd been there before.
I thought it was really cool. I mean, I've only seen the Alamo in, from Top Gear when they took their truck challenge, their Texas truck challenge to Texas and then they passed by the Alamo, and then what's his name? Adam Ferrara gets poop all over the place, which is super funny. Anyway, so that's with like the forefront of things that remind me.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which if you're following any of us on Facebook, my son doesn't know about this yet, but he doesn't listen to the podcast. Before we left, I was sitting in Xander's room just taking a quiet moment, and I'm surrounded by all of his toys. And so I grabbed Pee-wee, who is this tiny little stuffed dachshund, and I'm just cuddling him, and I was like, oh my God, we have to take him with us. We have to take him and like put him in all the pictures and everything. And that was right when you walked by, and I was like, we have to take Pee-wee. And you're like, okay, let's take Pee-wee.
Yeah.
And I was super nervous because I didn't want to lose him, and it was kind of giving me gray hairs, but like, I am so glad that we took him because we have pictures from the entire trip with Pee-wee in there. And Xander doesn't know that we took him. So as soon as we got back, and we put Pee-wee back where I found him, and like nothing had happened. But I want to make a little book, like a memory book through like Snapfish or whatever, that has all of the pictures of Pee-wee.
Yeah.
And so Xander can see what happened, like where this dog went while he was gone, or like while we were gone. So we have this dog named Pee-wee because he's got this big red bow tie, and we went to the Alamo, which, you know, it all comes around. So that was fun, taking a picture of Pee-wee the wiener dog in front of the Alamo.
Yeah.
But it was more low-key, you know, it was more mellow. People were there very observant and just, you know, checking out the place, super touristy. Like,
yeah.
I don't think any locals were there at all. But, you know, we did the walkthrough and we saw the Bowie, like the dude with the Bowie knife, Bowie.
Yeah.
I don't remember much. It was a very odd story, like kind of anticlimactic. But anyway, I'm sure people from Texas are way more familiar with, you know, the impact that he had on all that stuff. So we did that pretty quickly. And then we found this really cool Mexican restaurant within walking distance of the Alamo. So we checked that out, and it was delicious. The best vegetarian enchiladas on the planet. Oh, man. So good. So that was a lot of fun. And then we walked the Riverwalk a little bit and got some more pictures. And then we hopped back in the car, and we took the whatever road up towards Fort Worth. But on the way, if you follow us on Facebook or anywhere, you've seen some pictures of this. But I don't know if you watched the show Fixer Upper with Chip and Joanna Gaines and their 4 beautiful children and all the houses that they work on and stuff. But Waco, Texas is, you drive through it to get to Fort Worth from San Antonio.
Yep.
And I was like, well, oh my God, we're not going to drive through Waco and not stop at Magnolia. So we got off the freeway and checked out the Magnolia place, and it was super adorable.
It was actually pretty cool.
It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool to see that stuff like in real life. Like you can tell that design that she has, that aesthetic was throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, with the farmhouse sinks and the exposed like metal bars and things like that. I mean, I just was in love.
And the TV show, it's hard to tell like the scope of it. Like you can tell the silos, it's like a big place, but when you're there, it's a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
It's like a whole compound.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that.
And there's like a bakery and like a 2-story warehouse of all their design stuff, and then food trucks and a big play area with grass and stuff where kids can go run around and play.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of like soccer balls around and cool fluffy outdoor chairs that you can relax in. Like there's this big old AstroTurf open play area that they want people to just come and play and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great. I mean, those big old silos as the backdrop to this, just like basically a really big, quaint picnic area.
Yeah.
Was brilliant and totally right up their alley too.
Yeah.
But the shop was great. We got a little bit of Magnolia swag, and Joanna wears this shirt that I love. And it's this gray t-shirt that has a little X on it, and it says Waco around all the spaces between the lines of the X. And every time she wears it, I love that shirt so much. And it turns out that they actually sold it in the Magnolia shop. So you bet your ass I bought one. And now I have one, and it's super soft and wonderful, and I love it. And we got I've got a keychain for Xander and some stickers and stuff.
Yep.
But that trip was really quick because we got there at about 5:45 and they closed at 6.
Yeah, so we had to like blow through that place in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we didn't really soak it up as much as we wanted to, but we did get to see it, you know, which may be a once in a lifetime thing. So I'm glad that we made the stop.
And then we finally got to what we were actually there to do, which is go and train sliders at Six Flags Over Texas. So if you follow the Decay Brigade YouTube page, which I can tell you now is youtube.com/Decay Brigade Official.
Yay!
Finally. I did a bunch of live videos while they were training them and the next day when they did a little Fright Fest preview. So you can go on the YouTube channel and check those out. But, I was pretty much just running around taking pictures and doing YouTube live videos. So I didn't actually get to interact a whole lot with the actual slider training. So how did that go?
I thought it went really well. I mean, it was pretty much the first time we had done something of this scale. And, I mean, we couldn't have asked for a better group of people to work with. They were enthusiastic and very willing to learn and willing to get dirty, willing to get some bruises and, push past what they were comfortable with in order to do what they really wanted to accomplish.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. So we got there on Friday. It was our first day there, right?
Yeah, Friday was the first day.
So we get there and we're at this venue that isn't in the park proper, but it's kind of behind it. It's behind that Texas Giant roller coaster, if anyone's familiar with the layout of the park. So
yeah, it's their old music amphitheater where they'd have like music acts perform.
Yeah, so it's outdoors, and they let us, do a little carving of the wood on the stage in order to, get these monsters ready to go out on, in front of people and actually do their thing. So we waxed it up. We had a decent enough runway. We didn't need a lot of space because a lot of this was like day one. So you're looking at safety, control, more like scare tactics rather than the exhibition style. And we've had plenty of discussions of scare sliding versus exhibition sliding. So we kind of did a quick overview of all of that for them.
Yeah.
They, just like with anything, I don't know if they had been sliding yet this season. This may have been the first time. Naturally had a lot of cobwebs to dust off. Not a lot of control at first. A little skittish on their pads. Very quiet and reserved because you've got this group of people who, do a lot of really big stunts and been sliding for collectively like 150 years or something.
Yeah.
So naturally they were a little bit more reserved. But by the end of the day, we were all one group. We were laughing and joking, and they were getting better and better with every single slide. I mean, some of them are more naturally, physically, adept.
Yes.
Whatever the word is for that. And others, have to work a little bit harder physically to accomplish the same slide, but they definitely put in the effort to make up for it. So they were super fun. I adore them all. We gave them all Decay Brigade swag. We gave them a t-shirt and a hat. And most of them were able to come back for day 2. So on day 2...
Well, day 1, so
did
half
we build
of
the show
it...
on day 1?
Yeah, half of it was scare tactics and control. And then the second half of the day, we did limbo and jumping and some other stuff that we do during the show. Just kind of helping them get ideas on what they could do in a show. And we kind of helped them put together a little presentation, like a little tiny show.
Yeah, so we started getting into like the exhibition style sliding. So we took stunts that we've already built that we're super comfortable with and gave it to them to learn, but then to expand upon. So like the Ducky and I have this thing where we run towards each other, we grab hands, and then we just spin wildly. We taught that to them. And then there's like under overs and high five sliding towards each other. The thing where Eric and Greg slide up to each other, lock arms, and then do a 180 really quick. Then people slide underneath them. Like just the ability to combine more simple stunts into complex combinations, which makes it look way more intricate than it really is. That's what the kind of stuff that we were planting the seeds, so that as soon as they came up with an idea, they were able to piggyback it onto something else.
Yeah.
Or use it as a launch into another stunt or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. By the end of show 1, they had some really cool partner and individual tricks that they'd be able to show the patrons the next day.
Yep. And then the next day, we didn't even know, but we came in and they decided, we're going to do a mini Fright Fest preview in the park in August with people that weren't there to necessarily get scared. So they got the whole Fright Fest team in makeup and costume. The Decay Brigade was just in their gear. And we went out into the park. They announced that there was a Fright Fest preview going on. And we were kind of only in the Gotham City sort of section near the Joker ride and the Batman ride and all that stuff. And so, yeah, they went out in the park and scared the crap out of people. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a mixed feeling kind of thing, because being the veterans that we are, we know when the audience is ready for you and when they're not. And we did go out there to the general public who may or may not have been mentally prepared for someone sliding up and scaring them, but it did, mixed reviews, but they're not as douchey as our general public. I have observed over the hour that I was out there, but they
were way more into it.
Way more into it. I mean, I thought compared to other experiences I've had where the audience just was not having it at all. But so we, got them warmed up. They were definitely more in their element once they were in full costume and then able to slide and scare. And then it gave us a better idea of how is their control in a real life situation.
Yeah.
And again, some are more strong than others. I have confidence that all of them will definitely be strong enough to pull it off, and do more intricate scare sliding along with their exhibition sliding. But that was really fun to see them kind of work their magic in with everybody else. And of course, we had Decay Brigade members who are wearing zero makeup and have Decay Brigade t-shirts on and just happen to be sliding and scaring people, which to me would be super weird. Who the hell are you and why are you scaring me? But
the cool thing was a lot of the Decay Brigade members were tag teaming with the monsters. So the Decay Brigade members would just kind of do something to distract people to let one of the Fright Fest monsters come up and just totally nail them.
Exactly.
And so there was a good training opportunity to show how two sliders can work together in order to get an even bigger scare.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to watch. And then we did a 20-minute slider show demo, which was pretty fun. It started out with just the Goblin Attack Squad, which is the Fright Fest sliders. Then there was kind of a mix between the two, and then it ended with just the Decay Brigade members doing some really cool tricks.
Mm-hmm. That was fun. I never thought that I would be out in 100-degree weather putting wax on the floor of a theme park. But there you go. We had our little, quarantined off section, and we're laying down wax and just having a good old time, and people are walking by going, "What are you doing?" But I think that the crowd that formed definitely had a good time. It was still very odd. It was just so exposed. Everything felt so naked, not being in makeup and just wearing practice clothes.
Well, that's just how it's going to be. I mean, we get opportunities to do other shows like the OC Fair, and there was a thing that we might do for a Christmas show, and you're not going to be in makeup. It's just going to be you and doing a thing.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a good perspective.
Good practice to hey, this is now not a Halloween thing. It's a stunt show that can be done under a bunch of different themes and ideas.
That's right. But what was interesting, and I was kind of trying to study the other monsters, the other Decay Brigade monsters, watching the demeanor once that switch is flicked, and you're not just at practice, and you're not just doing a stunt show, but you are a monster, and you don't necessarily need that makeup to be a monster and get those scares and really get into your character.
Mm-hmm.
That was really fun to watch our own monsters. Watching Gary, he does not need makeup any day, at Scary Farm or otherwise, to be wild and crazy and awesome and just you turned up to 11 all the time. And watching him work in just his regular clothes was a lot of fun to me. And just watching everybody do their thing. Like you said, you're not going to have all that stuff on you, but it was a fun experience. A little odd at first, is it okay? I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea, or I don't know. It was just a weird hang up that I had for a half a second, and then it was gone. And then the character kicked in, and we were dancing and acting like fools, and all for the show, for the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have that costume to hide behind. You just. And they're never going to see me again. What do I care if I look like an idiot in front of them? So you give them the show that they came for.
Yep.
It was surreal. It was pretty fun.
Well, that's pretty much going to do it for us today.
Did we cover everything?
I don't know, but we're at an hour, so we're going to end it. And yeah. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Tales from the Fog. You can follow Veronica on Instagram at Veronica Voices. Follow Decay Brigade YouTube at Decay Brigade Official. So youtube.com/Decay Brigade Official. Any other plugs? The Goblin Attack Squad has a fan club now on Facebook. So you can go and like the Goblin Attack Squad page. I'm trying to think. Anything else?
As far as stuff from the event, I think Decay Brigade Official on Instagram will start having some pictures too. But I know that individually we all got more photos than like one account can post. So to see photos and everything from the Texas trip, like it's a good idea to either follow, the individual members of the Decay Brigade or me and Casey, anybody that you can find. But those pictures are out there and kind of get a peek of what it was like.
I think that's it.
If there's anything else, hopefully you can write it down and address it later. But that pretty much covers the 3 week of craziness.
Yeah. All right, guys. So until next time, we'll see you in the fog.
Bye.
Bye, guys.